Without further ado, folks, we got a great call lined up every Friday in the month of October. Now, the theme is what? Freedom Friday. Today, it's always Freedom Friday. You saw the flyer, Mr. Yeah, I already told you who the guest speaker is. You already know. And I sent it out this morning, so everybody's got it. Listen to me. He's got the best motion I've ever seen in all of ACN by bar none. And I've always talked about that. You know, I mean, when you get a graduate, when you come to the senior vice president, you got Marvin Sapp singing, bringing the house down, and right next to him is the great Les Brown, and the list goes on and on, the people's lives he's touched throughout the world. I just want to say thank him for taking time to be on our call to help all of you aspire to become senior vice president. And if you're not a regional director by now, you got 91 days for this year's over. Get it wrapped up. Start off 2022 as a regional director. And don't forget, December 10th is the next international. Get it done before then, but go to work and make it real. Without further ado, the one and only, the great Mr. Byron Nelson, Senior Vice President.
All right, I want to start off. I have a lot of little clips here. I'm going to consolidate this, not play them all. But before I even get started, I got to tell you, it's just a blessing to be on here, to be able to work and, you know, side by side with Mr. Al Thomas. All of you guys are just blessed to be linked to him, because a lot of people don't understand the work that it goes in for him to be able to coordinate these calls every month with different leaders, with different speakers. And he doesn't have to do it. You know, and a lot of people take that. I just had a very heart-to-heart conversation with my team. It's like when you get with somebody, I live by a code and a philosophy, and you can write it down, and I really believe it so wholeheartedly. And that is, when people don't pay, they don't pay attention. You know, that's the biggest, one of the biggest pitfalls and problems with network marketing is that you only have to pay whatever you have to pay to get into the business. You know, but if you had to pay $500 a month, what would your attention span be like? You know, I mean, that's I'm being very conservative on the numbers. So when you have a giant, behemoth, you know, figure like Mr. Al Thomas, is bigger than life, offering everything as far as his time, this is tiring. This is a lot of work, you know. God bless his soul and every one of you guys to take advantage of it. But you know, I really do believe the challenge in our industry, in our business across the board, is that people don't pay attention. You know, they don't. There's not a price tag on it. This will lead into the training, which I'm going to share as well. But in saying that, you know, you guys really need to give him like the biggest round of applause. All kinds of love in the chat. You know. And even more so than that, and anytime you get a chance to make him a dinner, send him a dinner, you know, cook him a meal, whatever you can do, you know, to keep him in your life is what you need to do. This is not about ACN. When you can keep extraordinary. I just had this conversation with somebody. She came into my business about 10 years ago. And then she ran into somebody who came into my business 20 years ago. And the guy 20 years ago has become a multimillionaire, and said it was all because of trainings I got. Somehow, obviously, my name came up. And that was awesome in itself. And this isn't about me, but it was about the fact that he asked for my number. And she knows, as everybody should, don't just hand out my number. I don't give out a number. You know, I never give out Mr. Al Thomas's number without contacting him and getting his permission. You know, it's just a respect thing. It's a boundary thing. And so when she contacted me, she said, you know, he just started talking about everything you did. And then he said he was he was like the greatest teacher he ever had. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm honored, and that's great. And she said, but I echoed that. The same thing for me. It's like, but ACN is not for everybody. And I said, I hesitated, because I'm sure many of you guys have heard that before. ACN's not for everybody. And I said, I would tend to disagree. I said, it's not for the person that's not willing to own a business. It's not for a person who's willing to, you know, that's not willing to take ownership of their life. But, you know, I do agree that it's a timing thing, but I don't agree that it's not for everybody. I think it's for everybody. I just believe that it's the timing in a person's life to take advantage of it. Does that make sense? You guys found me on that so far? You know, it's kind of like, If you're married, you shouldn't be dating another woman. It's called bad timing. I'm going through a divorce, and you should wait until your divorce is over. you know, you should be healing yourself and prepping yourself and making yourself a better person so that the next one doesn't fail. Because quite frankly, I only want to get married once in my life. So, but in that, I said, let me ask you a question. As I asked people that have seen ACN or heard about it before, I said, do you agree that, because we were going through stuff and I was sharing things. And then again, she got enamored and caught up in the conversation. And this is an amazing woman. She owns her own business. She's done well. She said, but I've lost everything, gained everything. She's been through the journey of life. I haven't talked to her in depth in really about 8, 9, 10 years. And I said, let me ask you a very sincere question. And this is something you guys should have in your arsenal all the time. When somebody says that they've either seen ACN before or they've been in ACN before, because the company's been around for 27 years. So it's going to be hard to not cross people. If you're in the trenches, if you're working the business, it's going to be impossible for you not to come across somebody that has either heard about it or been in the business before. And in a person that is an amateur backs up when somebody says, is it network marketing? You're like, oh, is it ACN? Oh, did you hear good things or bad things before I speak? A professional, I'm stepping right into it, and there's a lot of testimonials on this call from Tammy shaking her head, and other people are like, I'm coming down your throat. It's like, I'm coming directly at you. In fact, we just closed an amazing player on our team, and her main thing was, Mr. Nelson didn't dance. She said it on a testimonial on my call this past week. She's like, he didn't dance, and, just, well, it's this and it's that. So many people want to dance around what the business is and what we do. Does that make sense? Are you guys following me in this conversation? And to me, being in this call is going to get into a spiritual conversation in a minute. To me, it's like dealing with Christ for me. And please, if you are not of Christian faith, take it as a disclaimer to take everything I say today and share as academic, okay? Because for those that may be new or have never heard me speak before, I teach from Judaism to Buddhism. I have, Muslims, I have Christians, I have atheists that follow my tutelage, because here's a secret. 4 times 4 will always be 16, no matter what color you are, where you're from, or who you are. Does that make sense? Are you guys with me on that? So the truth of the matter and facts will always be facts. And too many people want to go down the wrong alley. It's like, he's talking about Christ and Jesus, and I'm Muslim. And what is this? This is a business call. I got into business so I can work my business the way I want to work it. And at the same time, I'm going to give you stories. I can give you the stories from the Rama. I can give you stories from the Bible. I can give you stories from whatever, the Quran, because I'm very well read, and theology was my major, one of my majors. But at the same time, it's not to get you caught up in spirituality. It's just for you to understand they're all stories. They were all written by men. So let's get that out of the way first, right? So that's a whole nother conversation in itself. But the reality of the conversation, and I see one of my partners, Albert, who actually came by her, on the call. Hey, Al. So loving you. And so, and Albert, the same thing happened in his conversation. He's a farmer, he's an investor, he owns real estate, and he's quite busy. It's the end of his harvest season. And both of them have been approached several times, and it's like, well, what made you get involved with this? And I want you guys, you can write it down and understand the word. It's called authenticity. See, when you're authentic about your conversation, it's kind of like even being in a relation. One is going to be able to respect and receive the truth much better than you dancing around a lie. Does that make sense? Right? And we've all done it. It just, it just is part of, but when you can just get to, once it's out, then you can just deal with what's on the table. And then in turn, you can give a person the choice to be able to receive or not receive what you're talking about. But if you dance around it, there's going to be something that in their spirit that they don't understand, they don't get, and they aren't going to receive. And you aren't going to, they may not even know why they don't want to do it or be a part of something, except for, I don't get it. I'm not really understanding it. And it's really when people don't get the business, it's because they don't get you. It's not because it has, people don't get into the business because of people, of business. They get in business because of people. I don't care what business you do, anybody business that thrives, you'll find that they are the greatest servant in their leadership of helping other people and supporting other people. And it's really, it goes back to the old adage, people will never remember what you say. They'll always remember how you made them feel. And I'll say that again so you can write that down. People will never remember what you say. They will always remember how you made them feel. You could say that an average person is only going to retain 10% of what you say. And as fast as I talk, they're only going to keep 5. But how I make them feel and what I share and what Mr. Al Thomas shares and what, the list just goes on with all the great leaders on here from Jocelyn. It just keeps going. Right. So, even when you're listening to, the promotions and the marketing that Julian is talking about, listen to his enthusiasm. Nobody remembers this. If you're on here, no, I can promise you, Albert, this is his first time on this call and probably his second call ever. He's not going to recall anything that he talked about in regards to those rates, the bonuses, and anything, unless I send him a copy of what's on the table. But he heard the enthusiasm if he's on in the beginning. See, that's what people are hearing. And you got to understand the breakdown of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm comes from a word called theos, which is the God in you. It's something that you can't explain. It's like emotions. You can't explain emotions. Just like if you're in love, you can't explain when you're in love why you're in love. No person that is in love, you could give me all the reasons and rack up all the different adjectives, but if you're truly in love, not if you love someone, but if you're in love, you can't really explain it. But I'll tell you a secret. Once you fall out of love, you can tell me all the reasons why you thought you were in love. Did that make sense? It's like, I thought I loved them because of, but that's not what it's like now everything comes clear. Now your mind and your spirit is clear. This fog is gone. The honeymoon is gone. You're like, I don't know what I was thinking about to be in a relationship with Joe. But you guys get what I'm saying. But when you have a giant like Mr. Al Thomas that is, you guys, think about this. How many people do you guys have on your phone? And there's some on here. I never undercut or underestimate anybody. But have on your phone that has owned their own bank, that has had their own plane, that has saved thousands of lives, that has the ear to the president, and is doing this business. I don't even have to, when I talk about Mr. Thomas and I put somebody on the phone, I don't even have to talk about the accolades of what he's done in the business, which is stupendous. But what he's done before the business. And I just said that in less than 15 seconds and said, I need you to have a conversation with this man. Who wouldn't want to talk to a man that was an advisor to several billionaires, has cleared billions, and been able to do what he's been able to do? That's crazy. I'm not even a hype person. I don't get high on somebody else's supply. I could care less if you're flying a Learjet or if you have a Bentley. If it's not mine, I can't get too excited about it. But I can give reverence and I can give respect. I can give honor. Like I honor and respect LeBron. He's not even one of my favorite players, and I'm in Los Angeles. Well, he's one of my favorite players now. But the reality of the conversation is, as a player across the board, he's not one of my favorite players. But as a man of what he's done and what he has accomplished, you can't help but to bow down. Black, white, Puerto Rican, Asian, any persuasion, and pay homage. This man has become iconic. Most people don't get to his level first of all, not most people, the smallest percentage in the history of man never gets to his level until after they've retired. He's done it. No other person has done what he's done while he's playing. Take his career and his craft and his skill out of the equation, and he still accomplished more than 99.8% of the population. Are you guys following me on that? You guys understand that? So I say all that to say that it's really a matter of understanding what you're here to do. Why are you on this call? And I want to play something at 6 minutes and 38 seconds but there's a purpose to this. And I like a few of the leaders, at least at minimum ETL, but preferably any RDs, to get on and answer my question afterwards. So I want to do this. Hopefully Bree has me up and going and I can share my screen. I'm going to go here.
About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery. And this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate in it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You ready to buy a computer from me? All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat-screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat-screen TVs. They've been making flat-screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. Here's the best part. None of what I'm telling you is my opinion. It's all grounded in the tenets of biology, not psychology, biology. If you look at a cross-section of the human brain, looking from the top down, what you see is the human brain is actually broken into three major components that correlate perfectly with the golden circle. Our newest brain, our Homo sapien brain, our neocortex, corresponds with the what level. The neocortex is responsible for all of our rational and analytical thought and language. The middle two sections make up our limbic brains, and our limbic brains are responsible for all of our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all human behavior, all decision-making, and it has no capacity for language. In other words, when we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. You know, sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures, and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right. Because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal and want to be a part of what it is that you do? Again, the goal is not just to sell people who need what you have. The goal is to sell to people who believe what you believe.
Now, once we get to the bottom line of understanding that, are you guys with me? Does that make sense? So I would like any three leaders, none of my snipers are allowed to do this, obviously, to get on and just tell me about your business real quick. Anybody wants to jump in the water and be coached?
I'm in a business of health industry. My name is Marilyn.
Hi, Marilyn. Are you new, Marilyn?
2 years into the business. I'm ETL right now with 96 group points.
So I'm asking you to tell me about this business.
Which one? ACN?
ACN.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant another business.
Thank you. But you've been in for 2 years, so you're qualified. Go ahead. Tell me about your business.
Okay. Tell me about it. Well, it's kind of slow growing. I'd like it to grow faster, but then again, it's me that has to talk to more people every day. I realize that.
Okay, so
I'm trying to
pause right there. If you actually start that conversation with somebody that's new, you're talking to someone who doesn't know you and you don't know me, I say that with great optimism and honor to meet you. That enthusiasm in itself would not make me interested in your business at all.
Okay, so you want me to present to you like I'm wanting you to join me.
I want you to tell me about your business. Yeah, I want you to tell me like you want me to join you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in this business where I can save a lot of people money on their gas, electricity, and mobile phones.
Pause right there. Forgive me for interrupting. You're going to learn how I actually operate, Marilyn, and I don't mean to be abrupt and rude. I just want to catch you. Next person, step up to bat. You're going to see where I'm going with this, Marilyn. Go ahead and mute yourself.
Okay.
Next. All right, Byron, this is Julian. Do you want other people to go, or is it?
And you aren't allowed to, Julian. You're too well. Next.
Hi, Byron. This is Lourdes.
Hi, Lourdes.
I'm at work, so I'm going to try to do this as quick as possible. The reason why I joined my business.
Don't do anything quick. Nobody likes anything quick. Take it right here.
Okay. My name is Lourdes, and the reason why I joined the business was because I wanted to be closer to home with my family, with my kids that I wasn't barely spending any time with. I was commuting back and forth from New York, being overwhelmed, feeling tired, and when ACN came into my life, it gave me the opportunity to be closer to my family, also to make better decisions for myself.
So I just met you, Lourdes. Let me give you guys a greater, maybe I'm not giving you the right framework. I just met you at your daughter's or at your friend's school, after school, PTA meeting. I just met you at a wedding. I just met you at a bar. I just met you getting at the gas station. And are you going to go into that whole conversation with me right there and tell me, I like your car. What do you do? Well, I was at home, and are you going to tell me that story? I doubt that. See, that's what you call the living room story. So what I need is I'm at the door. The first conversation you have, if I ask you, what do you do? If I'm your cousin, your best friend, I'm making it very clear. I want everybody to get it. I'm very hard as a coach. Tell me about your business. I want to know about your business. And if you tell me about your business, you only have about 3 to 5 seconds to get somebody's attention, and then they're gone. So this is just a very quick, because we don't have full time for a full-blown training here, but I want you guys to get the grasp of what's going on here and why you may not get the speed, because the speed of the leader, write this down, the speed of the leader is the speed of your organization. The speed of the leader is the speed the speed of your check hitting your bank account. And if you don't get this from day one, see, there's 3 different places. You have number 1, and I'm gonna teach as I go along. First, you have them at the door. You meet somebody, they ask you, what do you do? Or you're talking to a third-way prospect on a 3-way call. They're on the call like Albert was saying, what do you do? You only have a few minutes to tell them what you do. That's at the door. If you can't have a powerful conversation within less than 2 minutes at the door, they aren't coming into the house for the open house to walk through the house. And the conversation that Lourdes is having is after they've done the open house, they're sitting on the couch, but you guys never even got them to the couch, which is why you're wasting a lot of time when we say planting seeds. So if you're stuck on just being able to pique a person's interest, is everybody following me on this so far? I'm going to have to follow up on this on Friday, because this is going to take too much to do it like this. And I want you guys to be prepped for the ones that are here. If new ones are on, they'll catch up later. I want you to think about this, because I have another piece of this. I'm going to wrap up, because I know, Mr. Thomas is looking to consolidate time, but I really want to drive a nail into the coffin. You have this one point where you're walking them through. Are you guys with me on that so far? You get them to the door. There, you have to pique them. They're going to go through the door, and then now it's like, okay, you want to sell the house. So they're going through the house to an open house. That's another conversation. Then they're sitting down on the couch saying, I want to purchase it. I want to know, I want to qualify for getting the money to buy this house. Most of you are having conversations on the couch, but you never even got them through the door. That's why they're looking at you cross-eyed, because they don't even know what you're trying to sell them. So and this is an amazing metaphor I've been using quite frequently, and that is, well, how are you going to get me through the door? This is a simple question. What do you do? Tell me what you do. You got 2 minutes. Tell me what you do. You got a minute to tell me what you do. We're at the kids' soccer game. Oh, so what do you do? Well, I was working, and no. I'm like, wow, okay. I don't want to be you. That's a couch conversation. Anybody want to give it one more chance?
So one of the things when somebody asks me what I do, I say,
no, you're framing it. I want you to, you just met me. This is not a training. We are at the grocery store. And I'm like, what do you do, Kenny?
I help people make money on the bills they pay anyway.
Okay.
Or I help them save money on those bills anyway. Which would you like to do?
Well, the 3 different conversations, both were going down the same lane. And I want you guys to prep yourself as we get further into next week, because this would take too long to do. This is what I spent over the last, literally over 500 hours on my snipers training and teaching. And the key to this conversation is I gave you an open book test by each one of you looking at the video. You're still telling me what you do. And he's telling you when they ask you what you do, it has to be masked in why you do it. And it has to start with a bullet point. What I do is residual income. You know why? I get paid in my sleep. It's a very simple conversation. I was tired of working 90 hours. I figured out I can work 20 hours and triple the income I was making on 90 hours, quit, and the bank account just keeps hitting. It's just a beautiful thing to leverage your money against your time and be able to spend more time with your kids and not be slaving on a job. There's a myriad of ways in which I can dress this up, but that's what I do. And I'm not going to put, see, if you could put lipstick on a pig, but it's still going to be a pig. So why I do it is residual income. There's a bigger story behind that. But if that doesn't get your attention, Why I do it is because I don't want to work 90 hours a week. Why I do it, but that's really what I do. What I do is I walk people off their jobs that's working 2 jobs. You're working 2 jobs. If I could replace your income on one of those jobs and double it on half the time you're working, do I have your attention? If not, we have nothing else to talk about. You're in real estate. If I could show you how to not take yourself off of what you're currently doing in real estate, as Al Thomas is a master at it, why and how I got Albert and Rochelle in the business. Al Thomas has built and bought sky rises. And I mean, he has a real estate dynasty. Why do you think he's in the business? How did I close the #1 person in New York? There was the 3rd richest man in New York, actually in the world as a billionaire, who owns all of the meatpacking district, owns literally half of the diamond district and everything in Manhattan. It's like, look, as soon as they move into a piece of property, the first thing they ask is, what internet should I turn on? What gas and electricity, how do I get it turned on? How do I get my cable on? He said, hold it. I signed up 22 people that run my management company. They don't have to do anything more than what they're currently doing. And I can add an extra 6 figures to their bank account off of something they have to do anyway. And they run my management company. That's how I signed up and got Renata and Boris and that team to #1 overnight for the last 5 years. He led with the story. He said, and nobody's even leading with the story. I love leading with the story. The story I led with Albert and a couple other people, and it's like, look, I can show you in a year's time how to make an extra 6 figures by selling beds. The problem with that is on 20 hours a week, you're going to sell beds and you're going to go in and sell them. And then you're going to have to do it next year. Or I could teach you how to build a bed. And the bolts are going to come up short. The wood's never going to match. It's going to be hell. It's going to be one of the hardest jobs you ever did. I promise. Is that you still only have to work 20 hours a week. You're going to still get an extra 100,000. But when you finish at the end of that year, that 100,000 is going to continue to hit your bank account. He led with the Wright brothers. He led with the fact that Martin Luther King, he showed up on the White House lawn. He didn't have text messaging. He didn't have cell phones. He didn't have the internet. He didn't even have a phone. He didn't have a billboard. He didn't have a way of being, he didn't have Instagram. He didn't have a Twitter. He didn't have Facebook. And he still got hundreds of thousands of people to show up at one time on the White House lawn. Why? Not because of what he was doing. Did they show up for Martin Luther King? No, they showed up because of themselves. They believed in what he believed in. When I talk about what I believe in, Albert believes in the same thing. Tammy believes in the same thing. Stephanie believes in the same. My leaders believe in what I believe in. They don't believe in me per se till after they get to know me and I pour into them. But to get them started, we believe in the same thing: more time, more money, residual, leverage, a life, designing a life, growing ourselves, becoming the best person and the best version of us we can be. All that has to come out. And so what do you do? I don't know if you really want to know. No, I really want to know. Really? I'm working on a project that allows you to be able to work for the next 2 to 3 years on 10 to 15 hours a week, walk away, and the money continue to hit your bank account so that you can have a life. My goal is to get you 10 years of your life back so that you aren't slaving in a corporate job. I know you're a general manager. When was the last time you took a vacation without the company? It's a powerful conversation. What's your conversation? And if you aren't working on that as a skill set, you don't have to worry about why you're not making money. Because that's a skill. That's not a talent. I need you to understand the distinction. That's a skill. That's something Mr. Thomas, that's something Johnson, all the leaders on here, that's something that's something Julie, that's why I wouldn't let Julian talk, because he's on the court doing this 24/7. He will accidentally do it without me having directly trained him on it. Because I never talk about 99% of the people that get in my business get in my business without ever hearing ACN until after they're in. The only way ACN becomes a conversation is that they actually were presented by it, or, you know, in a way. Albert was presented that week 3 times before we, I mean, by the time you talk to me, somebody approached him 3 different times. You're like, shh, I'm going to go here. This is what I'm going to do. Let me get through the checklist. Can I max out the 7 minutes here, Mr. Thomas? Am I fair? Excellent. This wasn't even my conversation for this one. You guys, go ahead. Okay, thank you, sir. I'm on a whole different highway than I had intended for the training, but this is paramount for you to understand how to make money. And until you take ownership of your business to learn this skill set and develop it, to master a 60-second to a maximum of 2-minute elevator conversation of just what you do and have it sculpted, that I want you guys to understand the psychology of this. You can peek and pass all day long, but you'll never learn how to cook the meal yourself. All you did was buy the groceries and bring it to Mr. Thomas and then come out with the souffle. And even if you make money and they enjoyed it, when he goes away, so does your money. This is why people fail in network marketing. It's because they never took the time to stop and learn how to put together that bed, whether it was off by an inch and had to saw another piece, all the frustration, that's where the work lives. That's the price. This is for self-starters. This is for self-leaders. This is for people who have the fortitude to work when nobody else sees them. If you don't have that, this business will not work for you. Getting on calls and trainings and going to all these different meetings and this and the other and just inviting people and having somebody else build your house, they're going to get the rent. You aren't going to get the rent. You may get a little bit here and there, but until you own your business, don't pick somebody and just give them to me. I want you to do the enrollment conversation. I want Mr. Thomas, I want Josh, I want the leaders to close them. If I got to do the enrollment conversation and the presentation, I should sponsor them to me myself. Why am I sponsoring them to you? I will send you a gift for you bringing me somebody as sponsor, since I'm going to be doing all the work because you haven't chosen to do the work. This is a leadership call. I hope this isn't out of bounds, Mr. Thomas. This is just real talk. You know, I mean, you want to know the truth. This is what you get up for in the morning. Now, let me go through exactly, because this is October 1st. This is my January 1st conversation. I got 4 minutes to get through this. I'm just going to go through a bullet point. This is where I am. I'm going to let you inside of my head for 4 minutes. And why people's lives are failing. And it's because they don't have habits. One of the best books you can get is called Atomic Habits. That's one of them. You should have 3 books on the table that you're actually going through between now and the end of this year. I'm not saying that should be one of them, but if you haven't read it and gone through it and you don't understand it, you're just at a loss. Because everything that you are right now is your habits. Everything that I am and that I'm not is my habits. And so since my January 1st starts on October 1st, because I don't want to wait till January 1st to make a resolution and not get momentum until April, I start on October 1st. So I'm going to give you a grocery list, and I'm going to expand upon this on next Friday or on happy hour tonight. I might talk a little bit more about it if Mr. Thomas allows me to just have the grocery list, because each one of these is a training in itself. So I have to put together my grocery list to be able to get my life in order. Number one, the first thing I'm doing in October, which I'm doing today, is Proverbs. Proverbs has exactly 31 chapters in it. And no matter what your spirituality is, it is the greatest book for you to be able to truly see yourself and know what is necessary. There's a reason why it's exactly 31 chapters. It's just a book, 1 chapter a day. Yes, sir, Mr. Thomas.
You know, not only that, but Greg Parmesan, our co-founder, reads the book of Proverbs every day.
Every single day. And as quiet as it's kept, it's something I learned from a billionaire. He said, do you understand that literally over 70% of multimillionaires in the United States, this is one of their secrets that they never talk about because they don't want to get into a spiritual conversation? It's really a secret and it's real. So that's number one. Number two is you have to have a morning ritual. Everyone's is different. You got the 5 a.m. club from my business partner and a good friend of mine named Mr. Robin Sharma, in which I do business with. You got others that start at 6 a.m. But there's not one person will not tell you about how all of your hormones, and I'll get into that next Friday, don't start. They're like firing. It's like letting your car warm up. Versus if you turn on any one of you turn on your car right now, it's going to rev high. I don't care if it's an old car or if it's a new car. That's why you always let your car warm up for 3 to 4 minutes. But you know what? People drive their car the way they drive their life. They just get in and start driving. That's why it burns out early, because they don't take time to let it warm up. You got to let your brain warm up. You got to let your body warm up. That's why you got to warm up before you actually go into the gym. Julian will tell you that as well. Otherwise, you're going to pull a muscle. You're going to hurt yourself. I have 4 bullet points in regards to that. Number 1, you really need to master the art of breathing exercises. Everybody talks about it, but unless you're doing it, I had to use it all this past week. Please believe it is masterful. It needs to become a habit within your life. Number 2, early in the morning. You should really, and this is just me, I'm just sharing the components. Everybody's going to apply them differently. This is going somewhere in terms of mine. I don't have time to break this down, how it would be applicable to you. I'm just giving you the ingredients. Number 2 is learning how to express gratitude every freaking day. Life can take its turn and it can hit you in the gut, and you can honestly forget. For one day, it's like going, I'm going to tell you, if you go 1 day or 2 days without giving gratitude, I have literally had to do that every day because it reminds me of who I am. I don't wait for others to remind me, but it's always good when they do. But to remind myself who I am, I literally had to go through expressing gratitude because of all the stuff happening in my life. I can become very bitter, very quick, and very angry and start cutting people up. It's one of the greatest things you could ever do. And not giving gratitude for like 2 days is like you not taking a crap for 2 days. You will get completely constipated and it will mess up your entire emotional energy. And you won't even understand why. Everybody likes to talk a good game about it, but to truly do it and make allocated time to do it is amazing. Number 3, prayer. Now, for those that don't pray, then put meditation so that I don't screw up your day. Both of them work identical. It's just how you do it. I happen to do both. But I'm letting you know what I'm doing on January 1st, which happens to be October 1st, moving into this, because I want massive momentum. And these are things that you have to consciously do. Number 4 is taking allocated time to download new information. Turn off the news, turn off all the vaccinations, turn off all the politics, turn off all the BS, turn off all the family, turn off all the relationships, turn everything and get downloads of completely things that totally inspire you. Again, this is a class in itself. I don't have time to teach this. Number 5, learn the energy game. Do you see the energy that Mr. Al Thomas comes on this call with, or what I was sharing in regards to Julian? What's your energy like if I ask you to start talking right now? For the people that were talking, I heard a matter-of-fact conversation. That's not going to get anybody. It's not a sales pitch. You are the product. People buy who you are. From the time that you wake up. And if you don't like who you are, the way you wake up, then go back in the house until you do. Because all that energy is going to come back tenfold, whatever you're exerting. I wake up expecting miracles. I expect them. I'm not, oh, wow, I just got an extra 10 grand. I just got an extra 100,000. This just happened. Oh my God, I just met this amazing person. You'd be amazed at the conversation I had today. God, it was just so, I expect them. You need to expect them. Instead of getting paralyzed in wonderment. Number 6, outfits. Some of you may have noticed that have been around for a while that what I do now versus not having to be in a suit and tie is I'm in love with hoodies. And if you saw my pants, I'm in love with the same pants. Now, I wouldn't say get in love with your underwear and wear those every day and the same ones, but I am going to say the pants and the hoodie, because I don't want to, I used to spend so much time trying to figure out what I was going to wear every day. And you'll find out that all of the ones in this new nerd world, whether it's Zuckerberg, whether it's Bill Gates, name any of them, they all wear, I have a friend specifically, in fact, actually my girl was telling me about it as well. I have people, they have nothing but the same jeans. and the same shirt, and it's crisp. You think like each one was different the way it was set up? It's the same thing. They wake up, they put it on. They ain't got to figure out. We spend more time trying to figure out how we going to look good, what we going to wear. The only thing I want to figure out is what glasses go with the outfit I have. And I got three spindles in there. You need to learn how to simplify your life, leverage your life. Next is cardio. I don't have time to talk about that. Next is hot water and lemon when you wake up in the morning. I don't have time to talk about that either. I'm just giving you the ingredients. Next is a mastermind. Every week, I got a meeting tonight for that. Who do you mastermind with? You're sitting up there and you don't have 200 points, you don't have 100 customers, you don't have a mastermind team. I got ideas and thoughts. I have people coming to me as Mr. Thomas all day long, asking me to invest in their ideas. Why would I invest in your ideas when I got 1,000 of my own? That's just crackish. I want to tell that you go and give somebody an idea to invest in that has either been documented, tracked, and proven, or why would I take my hard-earned money to invest in your idea that hasn't been proven? That's not going to guarantee me a probability of the odds of the money coming back with a 200% return in a year. If I want to bet on somebody, I'm betting on black, me. That just makes sense. I don't have time to lose my money on you to hope that something happens. Next is an accountability partner, an accountability team. You don't have to figure out why you're failing. You don't have anybody holding you accountable except for yourself in the mirror, and that's easy to fail. 24/7. These are just the ingredients of people that are successful, by the way. I don't know who to get. Could you be my accountability partner? How are you going to get somebody that hasn't learned how to be accountable to themselves to be accountable to you just because they're in the same business as you? If somebody is not doing as well, if not better, like driving me, I need somebody who's going to drive me through the wall, who's going to make me get up every morning early. Like, please go ahead, Mr. Al Thomas, speak on it.
Sir, you're on a roll. I want everybody to come back tonight and get the rest of it from you and make them come back tonight and get the rest of it because you're on a roll.
You got it.